Welcome to the very last part of Identity Manager version 7 bits. In this video, we continue our work out of the first part, what is new in Web Designer, and talk about new Web Designer features.
Some new features in Web Designer that are just worth mentioning. We did a lot of work surrounding general efficiency and lots of sometimes long requested features, adding nodes into the Web Designer structure by keyboard, searching for a node by name. You can also, for example, find all usages of a given component or find all usages of a given collection. This last bullet point. So in the past it was always a bit of a hit and miss when you tried to figure out if something was still used or not. And now you can right click on a node in Web Designer and you say find usages or search references. I'm not sure what it's called actually. And it will give you a list of references where something is used. For us it was extremely useful. Yes, this is an important one. This is the second big change that we made in the Web Designer architecture. If you think back of 6.1, if you needed to modify a component in version 6.1, the only way to do that was basically to make a complete copy of an object and then work from the copy and customize that copy, which had the drawback that you had the entire component code in your ownership, so to speak, so it would never be changed in the migration. And this way of working is still supported, so you can still make object copies and work from them and do it the old way, so to speak. But in 7.0 there's a new model to achieve simpler customization, something we have called extensions. And the way this works is that extensions only describe the part of a document that's been changed, okay? So if you define an extension, you say, okay, I want to add a new collection, or I want to add a new function, or I want to add a control. And the extension is always relative to the base object. So the base object still exists, and the extension only describes the changes that need to be made. We'll see an example of this in a minute. So extensions should be much more lightweight because they only describe the changes, and much more robust when it comes to a migration, because the base object is being migrated and the extension then targets the new version of the base object. Let's take a look at how the extensions work.
Now let's show you something about extensions, which is a pretty nice feature in Web Designer. First of all, please let me mention that extensions are very needful and very helpful, and they will help you especially to reconfigure or to change the standard web portal in minor changes, but they don't replace completely the object copy behavior. That means you will need object copies and extensions in the future together. In that video, I want to show you only the extension part. We do have three types of extensions. There are extensions to add something, there are extensions to reconfigure something, and at the end there are extensions to delete something. I want to show you that. For that, I want to insert a specific label that shows after the welcome message on the start page another message that says hello world, and I want to dynamize that in a way that a specific person, which is a logged in person here, will say hello world. To do that, I have to jump to the position, therefore I just click here in the text. As known, I switch to the property page. I can see that the property page looks pretty different to the old one. In the old world there were some bubbles, but here you can see a really nice structure showing me the site content. I can see the label here, and with the help of the right click and show definition object, or for people who are more interested in keyboards with enter, I can just stomp into the code. Here we are. I can see the common page description, which is not really the part I want to see. Because of that, I just go here one step down and say show definition object, and can now see my VI-Start module. And the VI-Start module, as you know, are responsible for that type of content. What I want to do, I want to insert an extension that shows me a message between the title and the first message. To do so, I just click here on the container, click on Object Extensions, and say I want to have an additional display node. To do that, I create a label. Here we are. After some seconds, I get my first extension. To get the whole thing a little bit better formatted, I add a container node in addition, which is a structuring node. Here we are. And I move my label just into the container, just to show you how it works and that it is similar to what you have learned in the past. On the container, I set a specific layout. Here we are. And it is a paragraph layout that at the end displays a bit space between the lines so that I can see easily my new message. I click back on the label, and on the label I just define my specific text, which is format. Then we need our parameter, which at the end it's the first name of my user. And the rest of the text says colon, and then this is my text. And as you know, the format itself needs as well the definition of the argument. So from user select first name. That should be my argument. This is nothing special. You have seen that in WebDesigner 6 in the same way, but now it is implemented in a specific extension. What I have to do now is just to hit here on the refresh button. Compiler starts to do something, and after seconds, I should see my first change. So here we are. If I move to the button, I can see my first extension text. Here it is. Tineke says, hello people. Nice to see that on top of the complete content part, not on the button. To move now that specific text to the top of my page, I want to use a specific sort order. For that, I just click on the add node. I click here in insert mode, insert using an index, and on the sort order part, I just define the 0, which is the first element on the page. I hit on the recompile button, and suddenly my text comes up. Here we are. This is how to use an extension. Last but not least, the two other extension types. Therefore, I show you first the standard VI start again. Here we are. You can now see, by the way, my extension nicely formatted with a light purple background that says this is an extension. And to show you what is possible with the extension, for example, to format that container, I select my not extended container, switch to the node editor, and this time you can see here for the viewing condition or the style rules a specific icon in front. And this allows you now to configure an extension that changes properties. For example, I can change the layouts if I like to do that. And then I will create here a custom layout style. Last but not least, it is possible to delete stuff. For example, I can try to delete the container here at the end. Therefore, I have to click on that with a right click. And then I have to say delete node as an extension. If I do so, all the stuff that comes underneath of that will be deleted in that specific web project. My very last step should be here to delete this extension. And to do so, I have to move to the extension first. Here we are. And then I have just to remove all the stuff below the add node, or better, to delete the add node. Here we are. My configuring extension can leave as well. Now the extension is at the end completely deleted. And if I now recompile my page, my text underneath of welcome should disappear. One of the pain points of the older versions was that it was sometimes hard to see a difference between two different environments, for example, a developer environment and productive environment. And to make that easier, there are now a couple of new functions who could use. For example, it is possible now to compile in a debug web. And if I compile a debug web, I'm as well able to see that I'm now on a debug web. This is displayed by some text just left beside the user icon. Additionally to that, I'm able to start with color coding just to make sure that this environment is different. And there is as well a very nice feature that allows to see the permission situation of a logged in user. All of these functions are part of the debug web, and I want to show you that now in the next couple of seconds. Let's talk about logging and debug options in WebDesigner. First of all, you can see the nice green status bar here on the button of my WebDesigner, which is displayed if my database is configured in a way that it shows a specific color for a specific database installation. Additionally to that, you can see here on the top of the screen the development system preview message, which says I'm logged in a test environment and I'm not logged in a productive environment. To get that displayed, that means on the one hand side the message here and on the other hand side the color on the status bar, I have to configure my database in Designer. I step in Designer and show you that here in the section Base Data, Databases. I selected my main database and you can see first of all staging level, its development system, and the green color it's defined. Both together are at the end responsible to see in Web Designer the green color and the message in the portal. Additionally to that, we do have seen before in one of our videos the switch here which says debugging mode. And this switch debugging mode at the end is the reason why we can find here in the Web Designer preview frontend something that is called connection data. Connection data itself, it's a window that you have seen maybe in the manager before, which there it's part of the property of a specific object, but it allows us here to see the system users logged in here. The permission groups, they are at present in the Web Designer used, and some program functions as long as they exist and are activated. Very nice feature, but it exists only in the debug mode and it is normally not available in a productive environment. Last but not least, if n-logging is activated for the web application, with the help of the debug mode, you will find a lot of n-log messages. To show you that, I open the n-log viewer, here it is, and as you can see here, it's a big amount of different categories for n-log messages just born out of the web runtime, which is at the end my development web application configured on the web server. Some more new features in the Web Designer, and that is regarding to the different logins we can normally start with. You remember in Web Designer 6, here on the top of the front end, there was a specific drop-down box to show you change labels. That is now here to the left. And there was a second drop-down box to configure different logged-in users. The whole thing is in the meantime here in the preview window. So I just opened the preview window and maximize the size. Here it is. And in that preview window, I'm now able here to create new reusable connections. This is the one to log in with another user. And additionally to that, I'm now able in the meantime to open different browsers as long as they are installed on that specific machine. Secondly, there is another feature which is new in Web Designer 7, and this is to start with different layouts. This is now the standard layout for the standard browser front, but I can as well toggle to the pad layout, and then I will see after I relog into the environment, the layout I will see normal on a pad. Yeah, you can see the complete menu. It's now gone. It's to the left. I can just drop it in by clicking here on icons, and the whole layout it's now more pad based. Later on, I can just toggle back and I'm back in the standard browser layout that you know and have seen before. The last feature that exists here as well, it's the vHTML code source feature. This is for people who are very interested to see the complete web front as an HTML structure. Here it is. Last but not least, the selector that allows to toggle between languages. For example, if I just move to the German language here, automatically the front toggle to the German language. And if I try to toggle back, this is possible as well. And very nice for the people who have not seen that before. There is no relog in, no session canceling just by changing the languages.